Hey guys, as you can see, today I'm going to be doing another VOD review, but this time I wanted to do one on an ADC, and I wanted to review somebody's game who is better than me. So you can see how somebody who makes a lot less mistakes than I do plays the game, and how they're going to play out the lane, and just how they're going to deal with any situation that happens to come their way. So today I'm going to be reviewing Hansama's Kesa. Hansama is currently the highest rated solo queue ADC on the server on EU West, and in my opinion probably just the best Kesa on the server all around. So he's going to be playing Kesa and Fiddlesticks into Ezreal and Braum. My initial impression is definitely favored towards Kesa and Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks is pretty decent laner, I would say, while Braum is pretty weak, and Kesa, I would say on average tends to do better in lane than Ezreal. So the matchup is probably pretty favored towards them overall, but aside from that, you know, it always takes effort to win a game, so we'll just have to see how Hansama manages to accomplish that in the highest levels of competition in solo queue. So let's dive into it. Let's just speed this ahead a bit. They're not doing much right now. Not sure why they're not covering, to be honest. I guess they're just not afraid of it getting invaded, or they're just lazy. Dunno. Alright, so one thing we can observe here already, before the enemy has even started stepping into the lane, they clearly want to do some form of a push, but as you can see, they're not pushing too hard. They hit it a few times, and then they just start moving around, not doing anything. They don't want to push too hard, but they do want to at least get an advantage in the push race, making sure that they will eventually hit level 2 before the enemy bot lane. But if they push it too hard, they will end up level 2 like around here towards the enemy tower, where they can't do anything to abuse it. So that's not good. So they want to be level 2 first, but they don't want to push it too hard. So that's why they just started auto-attacking and then started to just do nothing. Then you can see once Ezreal stepped into the lane and used Q on these minions, Hansama then just auto-attacked one of these minions again immediately before it was even ready to last hit, because once Ezreal starts competing for the push, that's when Hansama can start pushing again, because he does want to win the level 2 race. You just can't... when they were off the lane and they weren't competing for the push, that's when Hansama needed to stop auto-attacking. And in your own games, like even if the enemy bot lane is in the lane, if they're not hitting the minions at all because they respect that you're probably just going to beat them to the level 2 anyway, so they don't want to try and compete and then get caught out later. If that happens, since they're just conceding the level 2, like before it even happens, like a wave in advance, you can already identify that fact, and you, just like Hansama was a second ago, you just want to stop hitting the minions. Because you know you're going to beat them, you don't have to race, so you can just stop hitting the minions, just wait it out. Let the wave stay as close to the middle of the lane as possible, because that's going to give you the best chances of being able to abuse your level lead once you hit level 2. So here you can see that the wave is about even. Nobody's actually winning the race right now, but Hansama's full mana right now, whereas Ezreal has been using quite a bit of mana to shove. So Hansama still has his Q available to shove, and Fiddlesticks has his Z. So they're really not worried about losing the pushing race by any means in this matchup. So Hansama doesn't mind if it looks about even right now. So as you can see, yeah, Kesa pushes really hard, especially with the help of Fiddlesticks. So as you can see, they've taken this pretty patiently overall. And the wave is still pushed slightly towards the enemy side. So if they had been pushing even harder here, this would be a lot worse position for them. It could be around here. There's no way to abuse hitting level 2 before the enemy laners if the wave is around here, right? Because it's so close to their tower, you just can't do anything without getting tower aggro. So that's why the patience comes in handy. You can see it doesn't focus too much on harassing, just on pushing, because that's when he needs to make sure he hits level 2 first. And as you can see, the enemy bot lane sees that they're going to be hitting 2 first. They don't let them do anything. They just back off And you can see that Hansama and Fiddlesticks, they don't just try and shove as hard as possible. They just kind of take it slow. But no, okay, no, wait, hang on. I think they were taking that approach at first. Yeah, I think maybe they were trying to take that approach at first, but then eventually you can see Hansama starts to push because basically you can see from their own side, the next wave is starting to push the tower. And it's a cannon wave, so that's going to take a while to push. So at this point, if this wave were to like hit here, they would want to shove that in because they're in a bad spot, right? Like they're super easily ganked at this stage if the enemy jungler is in position to do that. I mean, she probably isn't because she started red. But actually no, you know, she started red but then went into golems. We can see that just from the camps missing. So, I mean, there is a realm of possibility where Elise could just walk up here and gank them here, right? So they don't want to get stuck in a position where the wave is going to move up here and they have to shove this out and be vulnerable while they're doing so. So instead they decide that they just want to shove this out as quickly as possible. It doesn't really take much effort, so it doesn't even really look too much like they're pushing. But that is what they're doing, so they just shove that out. And now these minions will crash into the tower, and that should cause the wave to reset. So they're going to be a lot safer here. They're also not too worried about an Elise gank, because they do have that ward there. I should have checked when they warded. That was my bad. And yeah, there's the Elise gank. Right on cue. So she did red Raptors... No, sorry. Red Golems, Raptors, and then went to gank bot lane because that's kind of an unexpected gank route, right? Like she basically started towards a full clear, which is what this route is usually for. But you can also cheese ganks pretty hard at level 3 once you've completed all 3 camps on that side of the map. Because if Elise starts red buff, you're not expecting to get ganked by Elise like a minute later. You're expecting her to either like level 2 gank with that that cheese gank. And if you don't get the level 2 gank, then you're thinking, okay, so she's probably full clearing and she's going to end up top side and not have to be my problem. But that's why smart junglers will take advantage of that thought process and just get level 3 on this side of the map and just go for a bot lane gank if the bot lane is in a position to be ganked. But then, of course, so Hansama and Fiddlesticks are aware of this, so I'm pretty sure they were aware that they might get ganked. And in fact, the possibility of a level 2 gank is probably why they ended up placing this ward here earlier. I didn't exactly see when they did it, but that was the purpose of that. And so indeed it does also catch this gank. So it was... I kind of want to go back and check exactly when they placed it because it was a really good timing whenever it was, but it's not overall too important. Okay, so yeah, they failed the gank. They do get the Fiddlesticks flash, but I mean overall they weren't going to get anything there. And Corki starts channeling his teleport. Do think, yeah, the enemy team is in a position where they might not die, but they'll definitely have to blow flashes to get out of this situation. So yeah, there's the flash from Braum. So overall, I mean, it's not really favored towards Hansama's team, I would say, because it did blow Corki teleport, but the Elise gank definitely wasn't just free. Did force Braum summoners, and hopefully that'll lead to something later. Yeah, and then they just shove that in, and that again will lead to another reset, although will be more... Yeah, no, it's not going to be a full reset. It's going to be more towards here, actually, because it was a cannon wave. So, again, they're probably just going to want to shove this as quickly as possible. They're going to be slightly vulnerable, but probably Elise is not going to try another gank because the enemy bot lane is not too healthy. So they're happy to just push up and keep rushing even at the tower. And Ezreal is going to have to recall, but he's got teleport, so that's no problem for him. So they choose to stay. They could just choose that moment to back. But I think they're going to slow push this wave overall. Yeah, so that's going to be a slow push. Hansama could have shoved this much faster. He could have used his Q on the wave to shove it faster. But the problem is it's a cannon wave. So even though Kesa has pretty good wave clear, even this early on, well, for this early on, Kesa has pretty decent wave clear. But because it's a cannon wave, if he tried to shove as quickly as possible, it would not hit the tower in time for a full reset. It would like crash around here, again leaving them in a really awkward position. So I probably explained it badly, but basically it crashes around here. So there's still plenty of room for Hansama and Fiddlesticks to be able to shove this next wave. Just fully shove it into the tower, and that will cause a full reset. And that's probably also going to be the perfect time for Hansama and Fiddlesticks to recall, since Ezreal is now up a recall on them. Are they actually choosing to stay? Okay. Well, they're healthy on mana, healthy on HP, so yeah, they just chose to keep on pressuring. Fair enough. I just noticed Hansama as Conqueror. I think that might be unintentional. But yeah, they had wards. They had Vision of the River, ward here. So I guess they weren't really scared since they were otherwise pretty healthy. So they chose not to recall. And now, this wave being shoved in, that's again going to cause a reset. And this time they are just going to let it reset and recall. Especially with it being a cannon wave, perfect time to recall. Ezreal can't shove this into the tower fast enough. So they're not going to lose too much CS for this recall. And especially because with Hansama using TP. Well, with TP it doesn't even matter that it was a cannon wave, I guess. It's a fine moment to recall anyway. So yeah, just use that TP to make sure he doesn't fall behind at all in CS or XP. Gets a BF sword and a dagger. Could mean he's either going into... Basically means he's either going into Stormrazor or Infinity Edge. You'd think Stormrazor would be more likely, but dagger is actually just a really good, like, kind of like a Dorn's item. In the sense that if you just back with enough gold for a dagger on ADC, it's just a pretty nice item to pick up. Especially when you're taking inspiration with the free boots. It's a really cheap item. Gives you some great stats for ADC. And if you even want to sell it later on to like get your Infinity Edge, you only lose 90 gold for buying and selling a dagger. It's actually really efficient. So you can just take like 1 or 2 daggers early on. Probably not so much on Kesa, but on other ADCs who actually want the attack speed. More so for the early items. 2 daggers is pretty good. But on ADC like Kesa, 1 is just fine as well. Well, on any ADC, but especially on Kesa. With Ezreal's back, he got a Tear and the Sheen, so yeah, I mean he's obviously spent like 850 gold on mana, so that's the typical Ezreal back, which just causes him to be slightly weaker than his opponents temporarily, because he spent so much gold just on mana, which doesn't really give combat stats. Braum picked a really good moment to roam here actually, because Hansama's lane isn't really in a position to pressure right now, and I think Ezreal may have chosen to back. Yeah, Ezreal was backing, so there was no point in Braum just staying in the lane just to like try and soak up XP. He just chose that moment to roam, because there's nothing else more useful to do. So Braum has to be somewhere. He's either recalled or he's somewhere back on the way. Alright, he just started walking bot lane. So yeah, they'll just keep on pressuring. Because as I said, Braum is such a weak laner early on. And Fiddlesticks says pretty good harass. Oh, that's pretty bad from Hansama. Let's just see what led to that. Here they're fine. They're just pressuring. Let's see, I think... Yeah, Braum dashes onto one of his minions and takes that opportunity to manage to hit Hansama with the Q. Hansama doesn't manage to dodge, so that's not actually that bad overall. He gets some harass off onto Hansama. Well, so he takes some harass, but he should be okay, right? But the thing is, he knows Ezreal wants to try and harass him, right? So he keeps trying to like predict the Q and juke it. Then I think he may have accidentally hit that word there. Then again, Ezreal still hasn't thrown his Q. But he knows Ezreal at some point will still want to throw a Q, so he keeps trying to like juke it before it's even happened. Then here he tries to juke again, still gets hit anyway. And at this point, he spent so much time trying to predict the juke that it put him in so much more trouble than if he just kept on walking in a straight line. Maybe Ezreal would have hit him with a Q, but it's fine. But instead, he takes a lot more damage than necessary there. Fortunately, though, Ezreal isn't able to fully proc the Braum passive, or that would have been much worse for Hansama. But yeah, now you can see they're in a pretty bad position because of that. Elise goes for a gank. Wait, how did they not see her actually? Where was she? Oh, did she? Oh, she just walked through a ward. Alright, my bad. I'm so blind, I didn't even see that. Alright. So yeah, I don't think they even noticed her either. They took them a while to start fully walking back, and then Braum goes to flash key onto Fiddle. Fiddle's, unless this is a spectator bug, which it, no, I'm pretty sure his flash is back up, so he wants to wait until Elise uses, yeah, this is really well played from them. Fiddlesticks doesn't want to flash until Elise uses her E, because if he flashes and then she casts her E, then if he gets hit by that, he's just dead. So he wants to ideally save his flash for dodging her E. But they're just really patient. Braum just walks up. Elise doesn't cast E. They just walk up and auto-attack him. Because of Braum's flash Q, he has some Braum passive stacks on him. So all they have to do is auto-attack him to get him stunned. Then... so yeah, they get him stunned. Then Fiddlesticks is vulnerable to the E. Hansama initially went to block it. But then he decided, no, this is too risky. If I get stunned here, I could be the one that gets burst down instead. We could both maybe get burst down instead. So he doesn't risk it. He just writes off Fiddlesticks as dead, and he backs off. Definitely the safest choice to make there. Maybe not the best one, but you can only really judge that in hindsight. So... you should be wary here of the fact that he's half HP against the lane, who he definitely doesn't have pressure against. Elise invades. Elise in here. She gets found. No, actually, I think she was going for a dive. Elise in was able to ward against it, which is exactly why Hansama needed to be careful, because Elise could definitely go for that. She could flank, then he'd be dead. But yeah, Elise in did ward against that. He did anticipate it, and he managed to ward against it, managed to dissuade her. And that might even be the reason why Hansama wasn't afraid to step up, because he knew Lee Sin was there to keep him safe. Forgot to check how long ago these guys backed. He either wants to shove this now, or he would just want to cut his losses and recall. Okay, so no, actually no, they didn't even recall. Sorry, my bad. They started doing dragon, so he just goes in to join that fight. Ults onto Braum for, I guess, the free kill. Yep. Cool. Think the enemy team got the dragon. Yep. But at least Hansama's team got a return kill onto Braum, and it went onto Hansama, so that's pretty nice. Extending his lead. So yeah, now he's under no pressure, because Braum is dead. Elise, I mean, she's not, like, I don't think she had the recall or anything, but she's not ganking anyway. And Fiddlesticks was checking for that. So Hansama's free reign to just shove this wave now. He has the items to do it fast, so he doesn't care about slow pushing. He can just do it right away. Force this wave into the tower. It's a big wave, but it'll probably at least partially reset. The bigger the wave is when it hits the tower, though, the harder it is to actually get it to fully reset. Sometimes it just ends up, like, pushing up to here, and then the next wave arrives. Yeah, as you can see, it's not a full reset. It's not going to be halfway into the lane. But he could shove fast enough that it's not going to be in an awful position, where the enemy bot lane could just freeze it for a really long time and deny CS. Okay, so Hansama is actually going for the Infinity Edge build. So what you want to do with this build on Kesa is to actually build a double pickaxe after a BF sword, or, well, just at any point while integrating the BF sword into there, because it's going to give you a combined 90 attack damage, which combined with your Doran's Blade and your base attack damage scaling will give you over 100 AD and give your Q evolve. So it's not as quick an evolve on your Q as you could get if you were building Mana Moon into Pickaxe, which is one of the more popular builds. I'm not sure how quick it is compared to Stormrazor and Pickaxe, but it is definitely a fast evolve either way. And the advantage of this build is that you get a lot of scaling. Because in Infinity Edge at 3 items, it's going to give you a lot of damage once you've got that Infinity Edge, the Ginsu's, and another crit item to pair with it. It's just going to give you more damage than any combination that could otherwise give you. Though a big weakness is that it's a very weak transition into the AP build. Sorry, this TP sound is triggering me. It's a very weak transition into the AP build, because once you have Infinity Edge, you want to pair it with a crit item as soon as possible. Because it's Kesa, you don't actually build a second crit item as your second item. You go for Ginsu's first and then the third. And then as a third item, you go for crit. But of course, if you're going AP, that doesn't really leave room for a second crit item. So if you have a full AD team, it's pretty risky to go for the Infinity Edge build, unless you're just like confident the enemy team won't be stacking armor, because they're just not the right team comp for that. Which, to be fair, I mean, this team comp isn't really going to stack armor too hard. Ezreal will probably get Iceborne, as he pretty much always does. Here, maybe Azania's, Elise maybe Azania's, but I mean, none of these champions are just going to stack straight up armor. The most likely would be Braum, but I mean, even Braums don't really stack too much armor. They just get support items. So here, it's pretty much risk-free, and especially because he has AP on his team anyway, right? So there's pretty much no risk in going for the Infinity Edge build here. But, you know, as a general thing, that is a weakness of it. The inflexibility. You pretty much just have to go crit after that. But here, fine to just go Infinity Edge and go for the scaling. Okay, so there's something going on here. I think Lee Sin invaded. Fiddlesticks helped them. Didn't seem to go for wards, mainly just going for camp, see if they could maybe catch out Elise. They didn't find her, but they did force Braum back. Maybe they were clearing vision as well. Does anybody have a sweeper? Nope. Okay, so just forced them away. So then they realize, okay, well, we just forced Braum away, so he can't do anything. Elise, they happen to see is definitely on mid lane. Maybe she was also one of the people they forced away. I wasn't really paying that much attention, unfortunately. So they just return, and they think, well, this is one vulnerable-looking Ezreal. Ansama's just been laning here because he doesn't really have to join them. He has pressure on Ezreal. He doesn't have to be scared since he knows it's just him versus Ezreal, and he beats Ezreal. He's kind of a bit over-aggressive here. He definitely doesn't want to trade against Ezreal, but, I mean, he knows that he has the support of these guys here, so, I mean, he's probably thinking, I could try and bait Ezreal here. But either way... Wait, where did Ezreal just go? Wait, What? Okay, that was a bug. Yeah, okay, so, Ezreal just wasted a Z. Oh, I'm so confused. Yeah, okay, so Hansama's pressuring, made Ezreal think, okay, something's up. He just eased backwards. And, unfortunately, probably the wrong move. His E is a pretty important safety tool, like, pretty much as, like Flash. It helps you dodge skill shots, helps you stay away from the range of spells like Fiddlesticks Q, but I mean, unfortunately here, not really much you could do either way. Just looking at the scene, there's like no counterplay whatsoever for Ezreal. Not if he had a Z and Flash, not if he had one or the other. There's just nothing he can do here. He does end up using his Flash over here, but I mean, it's a waste of a summoner, really. There's nothing he can do here. Would have definitely gone better if he hadn't wasted a Z, though. I mean, he might have been able to survive long enough to maybe kill Fiddlesticks, maybe because of the harass he got into Hansama earlier when Hansama was getting over aggressive. Maybe that would have led to him being able to have enough time to 1v1 Hansama. But anyway, overall, as you can see, for things to go well for him there, would have had to be... Everything would have had to go right. You know? And then, yeah, we see Braum arriving onto the lane late. They knew Braum wouldn't be arriving in time to do anything because they just forced them off. They knew they would have the quicker pathing towards bot lane, so pretty safe play from them overall. Only risk would have been potentially a TP, of which there's 2 others on their team, but they just happen to be off cooldown. And I mean, a TP maybe would have been able to clean up. There's no way it would have saved Ezreal though. So overall, pretty medium risk, high reward play. Anyway, here, I guess I guess Hansama's wary enough of an Elise gank that he doesn't want to risk. Yeah, he doesn't want to risk trying to shove out this next wave. He just wants to back. Anyway, it's in a good spot. Anyway, it's gonna more or less reset. Okay, so Braum throws that more or less to the middle, because that'll help Ezreal miss less CS overall. Oh. Was that? Yeah, this is Hansama's TP. Wait, let me go back a sec. Okay, so... Anyway, let's see. So, okay, he bought Infinity Edge. Still has the pickaxe, still has the dagger. Got boots. He doesn't... How much gold does he have right now, actually? 214. Okay, never mind. So he couldn't even buy anything anyway. He just gets a pink. Okay, so then he sits on base for a bit. Or no, okay, so he starts leaving. Then his TP is right around here, so... So Braum is trying to contest vision here. Do they have vision of these guys? No, I don't think they do. But they thought they were safe here. So, yeah. Even after getting hit by this Q, Braum still feels comfortable enough to go for this pink ward. So does Elise. They feel they can contest this vision. And I mean, technically, just visibly, even if they could see there's two people here, I mean, it's a fair fight, right? They probably can just contest this, especially with Corki being over here. Azir's here. Azir is in a way better position to help them out here, right? So they feel like they should have pressure here. But then Hansama uses this TP. And this is actually such a good TP spot because obviously as an ADC, you can't really flank. You can't TP flank because you're just too squishy. You would get one shot. You also can't like TP into the middle of the fight. Again, same problem. They turn on you, you instantly die. The beauty of this TP here is it gives them the numbers advantage in advance. The moment Braum sees this TP, why is it making this sound again? The moment the Braum sees this TP, he realizes, oh, they're about to get the numbers advantage. We need to back off. They can't just turn onto Hansama when he TPs because, I mean, he's TPing into position where he's perfectly protected by Elysian and Fiddlesticks. So it's just a perfect TP here. It allows his teammates to create a play to punish Braum for trying to clear vision. And there's, yeah, it's hard for the enemy team to be able to predict that. It was just a really aggressive TP from Hansama. Like, he doesn't even get to do much here. Or, well, actually, he actually does. But potentially he wouldn't have been able to get to do much. Basically, the main use of the TP was that it enables his team to go aggressive on Braum there. Because the enemy team can't fight back, knowing that their team is about to get the numbers advantage. This is actually a hard TP to pull off in your own solo queue, like low elo solo queue games though, because your team is probably not going to think fast enough to capitalize on the fact that you're about to get the numbers advantage. But for Hansama here, it did work pretty well. Yeah, Braum initially survives, but he gets burst down by Corki. Elysian keeps going aggressive. Bit of a battle, but as you can see, now Hansama's team has so much more pressure. They have full control over mid lane. Azir tries to make a play, it doesn't work out. Corki probably just ends up soloing Elise here. Hansama goes aggressive on Ezreal. Okay, let me just show this again. Just want to point something out. Okay, this cleans up this guy. Then he goes aggressive on Ezreal here. So he gets that last auto attack off. After this auto attack, he's no longer going to be in range of Ezreal, right? Oh, this sound is triggering me so hard. Okay, there we go. No more sound. So after this auto attack, he's not going to be in range of auto attacking Ezreal anymore, right? And he is on cooldown. He can't use that to catch up. So if he wants to finish off this Ezreal, which he has a pretty good chance of, because, well, he's going to be able to if he flashes, because this last auto attack is going to get the 4th proc onto Ezreal, and then he's about to get Q back up as well. So if he flashes onto Ezreal, he's going to get... Sorry, if he flashes onto Ezreal, he's going to be able to auto attack him to get that last proc off, and also going to have Q, so that's definitely going to be enough damage to burst down Ezreal after this auto attack, right? But the thing is, if Hansama, after this auto attack, he keeps moving forwards, that tells Ezreal, oh, he's out of range, but he's still chasing. That means he's waiting for his auto attack to become available again, so then he's going to flash on me. So if Ezreal has E up or flash up, he doesn't in this situation, so it doesn't really matter. Both are down. But in case they are, in this situation, it's just a good practice that you just pretend like you're not chasing anymore. Hansama doesn't keep on stepping forwards. Look what he does. He starts stepping like kind of in this direction of Ezreal because he knows he needs to like stay in range of auto attacking after his flash, but he goes like diagonally just to not like give away too hard what his intentions are, because he knows that even if he does this, once he flashes through, he's still going to be in auto attack range. It's going to be in time to have his auto attack back up, and then he's going to be able to Q. So in case Ezreal did have flash up, it doesn't make your intentions as obvious, right? So that's why it does that. Yeah, the auto attack, the Q, more than enough to kill Ezreal. Okay, Corki doesn't quite end up killing Elise, but he does force her away. Oh, and Hansama got the snipe with the W. So that's nice. And then he just goes back bot lane and goes to shove that out. I imagine, given that Ezreal's dead and doesn't have TP, he'll probably want to keep on pressuring. Yeah, for sure. He's not going to recall after this. Azir's dead. Elise is dead. Ezreal was dead. He probably is not 100% sure if he's going to be able to get the tower there, so he prioritizes killing this next wave, prioritizing the wave clear. But then this wave approaches, and yeah, it's pretty obvious that he is going to be able to get the tower. So he gets that tower, and the wave is already cleared. No need to try and wave clear that. Just starts to recall. Braum appears. Just starts to back off. He's not in a position to want to fight right now. Low in mana, low in HP, and probably a ton of gold in his inventory. Yep. Okay, so this is really unnecessary in my opinion. I think this is a mistake from them, but I mean at this point, they're really ahead. They're probably just like, hey, let's see what happens. Let's go aggressive. Maybe we can win this. So, I mean, they do get the jump on them. They're both half HP, so it shouldn't really be a favorable fight. But because of the surprise factor, they can like have a fighting chance here. So, Fiddlesticks fears Braum, because the thing is, he could go for Ezreal, but Ezreal's more on the back line. And unless they can burst him down like immediately, no, like if Fiddlesticks uses his fear on Ezreal and that prevents Ezreal from like being able to like E away or flash away or anything, Braum can just use his shield to make sure Hansama doesn't get any damage off on Ezreal. He can reposition with his ult, to be fair, and start hitting him from a different angle. But there's still a chance that Braum's defensive properties are still going to be enough to like extend Ezreal's life long enough that then they can start to fight back after the fear ends. So instead, it seems like they go for the approach of fearing Braum, make sure he can't get that shield up, and they just want to try and burst Braum down as fast as possible. Hopefully, ideally, while the fear lasts, but I mean, I'm pretty sure Braum is tanky enough that they're not going to be able to. But as long as they're coordinated enough, they both already knew they were going to go on Braum, so Hansama now should just probably just focus the Braum completely, and not try and focus the Ezreal. Okay, I don't think they were on the same page there at all then, because he started walking like past the Braum, trying to get onto the Ezreal. He only started turning onto the Braum once Ezreal was like already clearly out of range and Hansama wasn't gonna be able to hit him. Right, so they were not on the same page there. And as you can see by Braum's HP, if Hansama had just started focusing Braum right away from the start, this was actually a beautiful play. I underestimated how much damage they had. They could definitely have burst him down, but it's a lot less clean now because of the fact that Hansama didn't immediately turn on to Braum. They do still like burst him down super fast, but now you can see Fiddlesticks is also in a pretty crappy situation, which is pretty unnecessary. Okay, so he uses the stopwatch. Hansama just blocks the Q. He still has ult for the record. It's kind of lucky that Fiddlesticks survived there, but yeah, they both play it well. He uses stopwatch to block the last auto attack. Hansama blocks the Q. It looks like Ezreal has the advantage here and Hansama should be backing off. But again, you got to look at the 2-level advantage on Hansama's side. And even though he's got just a ton of unspent gold right now, he just also has overall the advantage in items, I would say, probably. More gold worth in his inventory and stronger items all around. And obviously the XP advantage is also pretty big, so yeah, you can see just from that W alone, that already evens out the fight a lot more. And Hansama still has his ult up, so yeah, now he's just gonna ult in there. Oh, he doesn't? No, okay. Yeah, sorry. He did have mana for Q. It just looked like he didn't because he'd already cast it like pretty much at the same time as Q. So he just bursts down Ezreal super fast there. Overall, they didn't play this as cleanly as they could. But, you know, they're challenger players. They know better than me. I thought it wasn't smart of them to take this fight. But clearly it was, because even though they didn't execute it perfectly, they still like won it pretty handily. More or less, even though Fiddlesticks was pretty close to dying. So that's just Hansama and Fiddlesticks just knowing the limits much better than I do. So yeah, he recalls, gets the Ginsus, gets his Berserkers. It's not quite enough to be able to get his E upgrade. He needs... With this build, you need... After these items, you still need another Zeal and a Dagger, I think it is. Or if you have enough XP, I think 2 daggers does the job. But as a general guide, you pretty much need the Zeal and another dagger to get the E evolve with this build. It's not going to be as fast as either the AP build or a Stormraiser build. But you do get more damage for it, at least in this stage of the game. So yeah, they just got bot lane tower. Then they obviously made that play. Got an extra 2 kills for free. Then they recalled. Now they just want to lane swap the top lane to try and get that top lane tower down as well. Because sometimes you don't always want to lane swap the top lane. Like if you're against an Akali, for example, you know, ADC versus Akali. Do you really want to take that your chances with that, even in a 1v2? Obviously, it depends on your ADC and your support combo, but you know, just the enemy top lane pick, it definitely influences your willingness to want to lane swap the top lane after getting bot lane tower. But in this matchup against Fiora, there is like no chance in hell that Fiora can 1v2. So they're happy to go top lane and pressure that, since they definitely win the 2v1 and Fiora can't really do much to defend against that. She's not gonna have much wave clear. Yeah, they were kind of... I guess they were kind of... Yeah, they went toward that, so they were not 100% sure that they were safe to just push there. And then they ended up going for the Rift Herald instead, actually, which is pretty cool. They can either use that top lane right away, or they can just save it for mid lane later. We'll see what they end up going for. Yeah, it's looking like they'll probably just go for top lane right away. Fair enough. Because we did see anyway that Braum was here with Fiora. He didn't just follow Ezreal. Speaking of which, I don't know where Ezreal is. But anyway, so Fiora was with Braum. Braum can definitely help her defend. So they do have pressure in this lane. They will eventually be able to get the tower, but it's going to take ages. So to speed up the game, they just want to use the Rift Herald. Because even with Braum here, there's just nothing they can do to defend against that. Even if Elise shows up, again, probably nothing they can do overall. Okay, they do end up sending 3 people top lane to defend. And that kind of forces them to back off. But with Fiddlesticks engage, overall not really too smart a choice. Ooh, wait, hang on. Yeah, overall not too smart a choice. They should have just given it up. Usually when the enemy team uses Herald when the platings are down, and especially when the tower is like half HP, that definitely means the tower is going down. You don't really want to try and defend unless you have like a massive numbers advantage, which they didn't. They were just even. And because Hansama's team has the lead, well, they just go for the fight, and yeah, free kills as well as the tower. Anyway, let's just look at that again. I think Hansama just did something pretty neat. Yeah, Fiddlesticks about to ult, so goes in Braum. They burst down the Braum, and Fiddlesticks. Then Hansama goes for Fiora here. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so look at what he does. What he did here. Sorry, I need to play this again. Just wanted to confirm that he did do that. So again, Braum dies for the 3rd time. Sorry, Braum. He starts focusing the Fiora. Let me just put this in slow motion. Auto attack, auto attack. Goes for another auto attack. Ults mid-air while the auto attack still hasn't even landed. And then he gets another well, I don't know the exact amount of auto attacks, but he gets another auto attack off, like faster than his attack speed allows him to. And that's because cases, I didn't even know this until really recently. I don't know why. It seems to be quite obscure or relatively. But Case's ultimate is an auto attack reset. It's actually a really useful thing to know. I played Kesa for like a year or more. I only just learned this like within the past 2 months. And Sama, I don't know how long he's known, but yeah, he seemed to know there because the ult looked pretty unnecessary overall. Because I mean, he didn't need the mobility. He didn't need the shield, but he still went for that auto attack reset on his ult. It could be because he was worried about Fiora potentially like queuing away or flashing away, and he didn't want to like dive under tower and get that aggro. He just knew that if he auto attacked and then went for his ult for the reset and auto attacked again, then that just bursts down Fiora faster than she can react with like a Q or a flash. And yeah, he just finishes her off without having to put himself in any danger. Might have potentially been unnecessary anyway if she didn't end up flashing or like queuing away. But you know, it's a neat mechanic that you maybe didn't know about, so I just thought I would explain that. And obviously Hansama in the moment felt it was worth doing, so he's a better player than us. Maybe we should trust him. Yeah, again, she tries to defend in a situation where Hansama's team clearly has pressure. Fiddlesticks abuses that with the flash fear. She just gets burst down, no counterplay available. Yeah, they get another free tower. And the enemy team again shouldn't have bothered trying to defend it. That was pretty... Oh. Anyway, before we continue with this, again, I just want to explain. Yeah, as I said earlier, they should have just let this happen, right? Just let the Herald get that tower and then defended here, where it was more easy. They had more time to gather more members, and it was in a less risky position. And because they didn't respect the fact that the enemy team had priority here, they go for the risky play, they get punished, people die. Because people die, suddenly they don't have enough numbers to defend here either. And because, again, Elise, once more, doesn't respect the fact that she just needs to let it happen, well, she dies. Then they get the tower anyway, so she's dead. Sama gets cocky here, tries to shove out this next wave. Braum, I think, did the flash Q. Yep. So then after Hansama's hit by that, he has no escape available. They mess it up, so Ezreal has the flash. Yeah, overall, bad trade. Hansama's team definitely comes off worse there, but, you know, they were able to get some stuff back at least. Definitely a bad move from Hansama to overpush there, though, since the people that died top lane had time to revive. Weirdly enough, he goes for a BF sword and dagger. I know from looking at the match history earlier that it's going to be an Essence Reaver, which I thought was weird. I don't know why he did it. He doesn't usually do it. I've never seen anybody else do it either. He's delaying his E upgrade by quite a bit. Like on this recall, he could have got a Zeal and a dagger. And that both would have given him some crit chance to synergize with his Infinity Edge, which probably would have meant more damage overall. While also giving him a Z evolve, which is pretty nice. But he doesn't do that. I think he's just basically experimenting here, since he's so ahead anyway. He's confident they're going to win this game, so I think he just basically is using this as an opportunity to experiment. I wouldn't look into this too much, unless you see Hansama continuing to build Essence Reaver. I don't think he's done it in any other games. Not after Ginsu's anyway. So yeah, he dies, goes right mid lane, goes to pressure. Dragon is up, so he shoves out mid lane, goes to dragon. Good shit. You can see, you know, he did overgreed a little bit for CS here, but for the most part, he is like going for CS when he should be. Not missing out on free CS. You can see it reflects very well in the CS here. 170 CS at 19 minutes. Really good lead over Ezreal. He's the person on the map with the highest CS lead over their lane opponent. And for good reason. I don't want to point out every single time that he goes for CS. But yeah, try and take note of that. Yeah, Fiddlesticks makes a play. Hansama does damage, as he should. Not much to say there. Just keeps shoving, because there's no reason why he shouldn't. What's going on here? Wait, did he just ult? Oh yeah, he just hit a 0 with a W, so he's just gonna all in there. He knows that an auto attack and Q will burst him down. Gets focused by the Ezreal turret, but doesn't really matter. Oh. Okay, wait, hang on. I think he made a mistake here. So yeah, he kills the Ezreal. There's so many sounds, I'm just getting confused. Alright, so... yeah, they start focusing this tower, getting it down. Fiora walks up. So they decide to go aggressive on Fiora before the tower is down. The problem is, well, Fiddlesticks feared Fiora, I think. Yeah, he didn't actually damage Fiora, and the tower aggro goes for Hansama. So then he does finish taking the tower, and he can keep going on her, but you can see he's already taken substantial damage, which is pretty unnecessary and pretty risky when he already wasn't too healthy to begin with. So he's still confident that he can win this, but then Fiora is able to get out of the CC and use her parry. And Elise is around. So you can see Hansama visibly realizes, oh, this is not a great situation for me to be in anymore. He doesn't have Q up to be able to burst down Fiora. If he crits, this next auto attack will kill Fiora, but I mean, that's not a guarantee. Then there was a brief moment where Fiora and Elise were quite separated, so he thinks, okay, and obviously Fiora's taking some damage from minion aggro, so he says, okay, so actually if I do turn on Fiora here and auto attack her, this will kill her. But Fiora realizes the same thing, so as Hansama turns, she also turns away. He like momentarily overchases, which is like understandable because it was like such a small moment where the window was available, and he went to take it, and then the window disappeared, and it took him a moment to realize that, and in that moment, well, now he's in a pretty bad situation because Elise can potentially do something onto him here, but yeah, she goes for that flash Q. But obviously the flash on its own is not going to be able to kill Hansama. And Hansama also has his flash available, so they basically end up just trading flashes. And yeah, because Hansama flashed away so quickly, she's not actually able to land anything else. She wasn't able to land Q. I think her first spell afterwards was W, but I think she probably would have wanted to prioritize the Q because I think that would have killed Hansama. But he was out of range, so he couldn't land it, so she goes with the W. No, wait, no. Okay, now she goes with the W. Oh, that must have been her passive spider. Okay. So she tried to use Q. He wasn't in range, so then she just has to use W. It hits Fiddlesticks instead, because he was closer. And Fiddlesticks overstays. He goes to aggressive. In a bad situation, so he dies. And Sama smartly was backing off. He knows he's too low to do anything here. Goes for the harass, but he doesn't have his ult, and probably not too smart to go for that. Although, I mean, just looking at it here, doesn't seem like it seems like they have pretty good vision and nobody's around to actually help Ezreal. So if he had ult here, theoretically he could go for that, but you know, he doesn't, so it's just worth noting. And so he's obviously, at the amount of HP he has, he wants to recall, but before he recalls, he says, okay, I can just take Raptors. Then I think he's worried about Raptors killing him, and he also wants red buff, so he just goes for that. Again, he also clears out the golem, so this is like overall just a pretty safe amount of CS he can go for. Not CS, but like gold camps he can go for, because he's not going to die to camps at this stage of the game. And he's recovered enough HP, I guess, from lifesteal, maybe from runes, and also, also from red buff, that he feels confident enough that he doesn't have to immediately recall, but probably not smart because Ezreal is here. But not really smart of Ezreal to do that. I think it was overall a mistake for Hansama to do this. He was in a position where he could get collapsed on, but Ezreal kind of messed up. And overall, maybe Hansama in the end would have been safe no matter what, but it was a really unnecessary risky situation to put himself in. If the enemy team had vision, then it was pretty bad for him. So like after golems, definitely at the very least, he should have just backed off. But it worked out. Maybe he just knows better than me. Who knows? Okay, so Fiddlesticks. Wait, yeah, that's Fiddlesticks. So he's in trouble here. I mean, Hansama's obviously going to arrive here too late to actually help. But if he lands this W onto Azir, it's going to be risky, I think. Because Azir does have ult. And even without it, I mean, he's pretty bursty overall. But I'm pretty sure, knowing Hansama and his attitude this game, he's definitely limit testing. So he's going to land this W and he's going to ult in. Oh. No. No, he missed. So Azir, yeah, Azir realizes, okay, he missed. He can't ult me right now. And I have 3 soldiers here, can do a bunch of damage. He wants to go aggressive onto Hansama here. So Hansama, he still wants to take this fight despite missing his W. I mean, he's really fed, so we'll see how this works out. He takes a lot of damage before finally getting the first auto attack off onto Azir because of how Azir works. It just has so much range. Kaisa is one of the shorter range AD carries, so without being able to use her W for a quick gap closer, he has to take a lot of damage before finally getting onto Azir. But the thing is, now that he's finally got onto Azir and he's got that first auto attack off, he has the Infinity Edge build and a bunch of AD as well. He's got his Q upgrade. He's going to be really bursty. So now that he's onto Azir, this situation looks really bad for him. But it's actually better, a little bit better than it looks. There is a chance that he might be able to outplay here if he like... I think he has to ult into max range of Azir. Azir is going to try and use his ult onto Hansama to both CC him and also knock him out of auto attack range of Azir, and then Azir can keep abusing his range advantage, where obviously he's just going to be able to destroy Hansama with how low Hansama is already. But so Hansama wants to like try and stay in auto attack range, but not so close that he's going to get ulted by Azir. I think that's going to be the approach here. Oh no, I think they both messed up here, kind of. No, actually no. No, actually, Hansama played this pretty well, actually. I think they both played this exactly perfectly, come to think of it, because Hansama wants to do exactly what I said, right? Because from the position he's in here, he's dangerously close to the Azir soldiers. The only way he wins the fight is by ulting, getting the shield, getting away from the soldiers, and staying, like, max range away from Azir where he can't get ulted. But Azir also realizes that that's Hansama's win condition in this fight. So he realizes, okay, well, Hansama, now that he has a stack on me, he just wants to ult immediately. But I can interrupt that ultimate with my ult. So he does that. Hansama does exactly what he should, and Azir does exactly what he should. The only way Hansama could have played this better was if he just happened to predict that Azir knew what Hansama should do, and so Hansama, what actually he should do is acknowledge what Azir wants to do and play around the fact that he's going to immediately ult, and therefore he actually wants to save his ult and not cast it immediately. So it's basically like mind games, and you know, you can't really blame Hansama for not winning the mind game here. I don't think anybody won the mind game here. It would have been really next level of Hansama to realize Azir would go for this and compensate accordingly. But instead, it's just 2 challenger players, both really good, knowing exactly what the other should do and playing around that. So yeah, Hansama, I don't think there's any outplaying this. He's already wasted his ult. His shield is down. He's pretty dead here. Yeah, well played from Azir. Well played overall from Hansama as well. But it was an unfavorable situation to begin with. And because Azir plays it like pretty much perfectly, Hansama does get punished for his over-aggressive play. But if Azir hadn't been that good, I'm pretty sure Hansama would have been able to burst him down because of his advantage, so it's fine to go for that play for limit testing if he knows he's going to win the game anyway, or if he just doesn't care about the outcome of the game too much. I mean, he's an LCS player. What does he care about? What does he care about winning random solo queue games, you know? Yeah, he dies. Azir does eventually get cleaned up. Hero randomly died at some point too, so they go for this Baron. It's kind of risky, I think. But Hansama does have the TP. So they do try and disengage. Yeah, they end up actually not going for the Baron. They just end up using it as an excuse to bait the enemy team into forcing them off, and then they can just turn on to the enemy team. And because Hansama had TP up, it was actually pretty smart. Fiddlesticks just gets melted there. And yeah, even though he gets melted, the enemy team did have to like get into a kind of risky position or vulnerable position to be able to kill him. And so Hansama and the rest of his team are kind of able to clean up. They also do manage to kill Lee Sin. See, this is exactly what I meant earlier, right? Like Hansama, he was like going aggressive onto the Azir, but he was so far away where the Azir ult, if Hansama played correctly, if he backed off, was not guaranteed to hit him. So Azir does get hit here, Hansama doesn't. Azir ends up dying to Hansama. I'm not sure if it even mattered that he didn't get hit by the wall, but whatever. So yeah, they just end up... Both sides end up cleaning up a bunch of kills, but overall the cleanup goes in the favor of Hansama's team. Not too much, but overall, yes, in their favor. Though, in the end, they do have even numbers advantage because even numbers because of the fact that Fiora was already dead and she does revive. I think Corky forgot about that and went over aggressive and just dies here. And Hansama, he has ult up. If this happens to hit anybody, he can go aggressive. I don't think it will though. No. I mean, in this situation, I'm pretty sure you should just be pushing down this tower, right? Like, no, sorry, Fiora and Ezreal are both like too far away to do anything. Elise did just revive, but on her own she can't punish. He does have vision of this area to know if anybody like tries to move over and punish him. But even if he didn't, I'm pretty sure he can just burst down this tower fast enough anyway that it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure the only reason he goes over here is he's just playing for fun at this point. He just wants to go for kills. He tries to land his W into Ezreal to try and ult in for the kill and the 1v2 highlight play. Doesn't land it. Waste of time. Alright, backs off. Doesn't end up getting the tower, but I don't think he really cares. Now Fiora. If she didn't know Kesa was here already, now she does. There are two, so they fancy their chances. They try and chase him down. Hansama, he doesn't fancy his chances in a 1v2 where he doesn't have the jump on them. He would want to he could probably 1v2 here, but it would require him to like start off with Ezreal, burst him down, then move on to the Fiora. In a situation like this where they're just fully aware and he can't get the jump on Ezreal, in that situation, yeah, he doesn't want to take that 1v2. Oh, and worth noting, yeah, he did end up finishing that Essence Reaver. Then he goes for Wit's End, I guess, because Ezreal's pretty strong. They do also have the Elise. Ezreal does do a lot of magic damage these days, too. And overall, Wit's End, being a non-hit item, synergizes well with Ginsu's, so pretty... It's not too common on Kesa, but it's pretty decent. So in this situation, where he's worried about the damage coming in from Azir mainly, and then also a little bit from Elise, it just goes for that MR, I think. For some safety while also having heavy damage. And again, they just go for a Baron bait. They know that they can't burst down this Baron without the enemy team coming to collapse on them and fighting them. So they don't try and burst it. They don't try and like burst it down and ignore the enemy team. They just welcome the enemy team coming over to stop them, and they just immediately turn. Pretty classic move in both solo queue and pro play, except it's a lot easier to pull off in Challenger than solo queue, where it's really hard to coordinate your team. Where some people think you're turning, some people think you're just trying to finish the Baron. But in Challenger, everybody, or pretty much everybody, has an understanding of their win condition in each situation. So now they've cleaned up everybody here. And Sama, I don't think he did anything special, he just turned, he just did some damage. He wasn't really able to get focused by the enemy team. Not much point analyzing exactly what he did there. So now most of their team is dead, or at least enough numbers that they can't contest anymore. Oof. So it's a pretty safe Baron. They turn back onto that. This time it's actually for real. It's not a bait this time. They actually want the Baron. Enemy team knows they can't contest this time. Ezreal does try and go for the ult. I don't know if he was trying to steal, if he was trying to see if it could harass them off. It did harass Fiddlesticks off, but overall not enough to stop them. So they get that. They recall. They reset. And Sama finishes the Wit's End. He does go for the Stinger in the end, so he does want his W upgrade, wants a heavier mix of damage, I guess. Not too sure why. They don't have too much armor. I mean, maybe he just wants the CDR. Could be. Especially in a game like this where it's solo queue, he doesn't have too much incentive to want to win this. Ooh. Sorry, hang on. Let me just go back a sec. It's solo queue. He doesn't have too much incentive to want to win this. He's also obviously going to win anyway, so he can experiment a bit. I wouldn't look too much into the builds after the first two items of Infinity Edge and Ginsu's. After that point, I mean, he obviously had a massive lead. I think he felt like he could just take this game to experiment. So, okay, right now, Fiddlesticks is pushing up for vision. Lee Sin is clearing up the Scuttle Crab. When's Dragon spawning? Is there a timer? Can't see it if there is. So I don't know. But Fiddlesticks, this is really aggressive from Fiddlesticks. Did Kesa hit Braum here? No, I think Braum got revealed by the W just going past him, even though it didn't hit. This is really weirdly over-aggressive from Fiddlesticks. I think he wanted to ward here, and he just got caught out by the Azir, but it's a really risky position to try and ward without the backup of your team. So he does get collapsed on here, but he does get the fear off on Azir, and because of that, even though Hansama doesn't have W up, he can still actually ult onto the Azir, and Azir is feared. He's CC'd. He doesn't have Merc Treads or anything. Wow. Okay, it doesn't even matter. He just I'm not sure if he only just got into range, or if he just took that long to decide to go in. But either way, because of the fear, he does have the option to ult onto Azir, and he ends up wanting to take that. It's a bit of an I don't want to say over aggressive when it could turn out in their favor, but you know, obviously it's a pretty aggressive play, pretty ballsy. But you know, Hansama's really strong here, really bursty, especially because he went for that Essence River instead of the Zeal upgrade. So he has a lot of AD, super bursty. Also not too afraid of getting 1v1 by Azir because of his West Sand giving him MR. And either way, Azir has already invested at least like some cooldowns, like a Z, and I'm not sure about his Q, but at least one cooldown onto the Fiddlesticks, and that's where his attention is at. So yeah, Hansama just goes onto the Azir. Oh, actually, apparently Azir's E was like in midair, so he just ends up getting dragged all the way over here, and Hansama's ult is kind of wasted. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on here, to be honest. Yeah, because Akali was in a position to help anyway, and Hansama's so strong, I do think they end up winning this anyway. Oh god, it's so confusing. Yeah, they do end up being able to clean up after the enemy team rightfully punishes Fiddlesticks for his overextension, but at the end of the day, this team is just so far ahead, they just end up cleaning the fight. Hansama, let me just see if I could try and analyze exactly what went on in this fight after this ult, because they get so clumped up, it's really confusing. I'm going to try and slow it down a bit. So Azir uses Z here. Hansama ulted in, trying to punish him. He didn't expect Azir to already be Eing away, so he doesn't get to punish too hard. He's out of range here. It's such a cluster. Here, really hard to tell exactly who is who, what's going on. Hansama starts approaching. He sees the Braum shield, says, okay, I can't really do much here. I could maybe focus Braum, but I mean, it's so confusing here. Braum might have Q up. He doesn't, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Hansama doesn't know that, and he's afraid of maybe Braum having that up. So he starts backing off a bit. Fiddlesticks is still alive. Azir starts moving out of the Braum shield, and the shield should be timing out relatively soon anyway, right? Fiddlesticks is obviously a lost cause. He's going to die pretty soon, but they do have a chance of like finishing this off 2v3. So for now, he's backing off. He starts to turn again. I think once Braum doesn't immediately throw out the Q, he says, okay, Q must be on cooldown. So he just turns. Shield is probably running out soon too. Obviously, it's not out yet, so he can't focus the Azir yet. So he's just starting off focusing the Braum. Right now, it's pretty safe for him anyway. I mean, all their attention is split onto Akali and Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks is in his Zhonya's, but they need to like stay aware of the fact that he's there and try and finish him off as soon as that Zhonya's ends. Like, otherwise he maybe has a chance to like fear somebody as soon as he revives. Like, if he survives for like even 0.5 seconds, if that buys enough time for him to cast a spell, then that could be pretty bad for them. So they just want him to die immediately after the Zhonya's. So they need to invest some attention onto that, even though he's in Zhonya's. And obviously they need to peel off Akali, investing some attention there. So right now for Hansama, pretty safe situation. So yeah, he goes for that damage onto Braum. Then he moves out of position to protect the Azir. And again, shield should be timing out pretty soon, right? But either way, not in a position to protect Azir. So he goes onto the Azir now. Who just flashed here? Okay, Hansama flashed to the side. I can't think. It's so confusing what's going on here. Can't exactly say why. Let me just try and see if the Azir did anything that might have prompted that. So now is when Hansama starts turning. Now Azir starts going to the left. So Azir has the soldiers here. Okay, Did he just use Q? I think Azir. Yeah, okay. So Azir just used Q. So basically, Azir's soldiers are either in the process of traveling towards Hansama or already on him, and Hansama is aware of that. So he just ends up flashing out of the soldiers just to be safe. He doesn't want to take more damage than he needs to. He knows basically that if he wins this fight, I mean, the game is not going to last much longer than that, basically. So just flashes that, maximizes his chances of winning this fight, of staying healthy after the fight as well is important, making sure that he's healthy enough to do like make as many steps towards ending the game as possible, making sure the enemy team, whatever's left of them after this fight, can't just stop him from doing that. So yeah, he goes for that flash. Is Azir dead already? Where's Azir? Oh no, okay, he's the stasis. Kali, I think, ulted. She also used the flash at some point, but I don't care. We're only focused on another stasis. Are you kidding me? Okay. We're only focused on Hansama here anyway, so both the enemy team are in stasis right now. I think, yeah, Azir is pretty much going to die in one auto attack. So, I mean, in this kind of situation, you don't really want to, usually you wouldn't want to like sandwich yourself between the enemy team, right? You want to like putting yourself in a position where you can deal with one, then deal with the other. But since it's so safe, they're going to both pretty much die in one auto attack. He just wants to position, oh, I can't speak, sorry, this has been such a long game. Position himself in a way where he's pretty much guaranteed to be able to finish them both off. I think Azir comes out first, so he's like one auto attack away from killing him. Maybe it'll take a W as well. Then as soon as Braum comes out of that, he's also in a position to finish him off. He does potentially have to worry about Ezreal, but I don't think he's too worried because of the fact that Akali is here. Or maybe even he was turning towards here to like turn on the Ezreal. But I don't think so. I think he's probably focused on the Akali first. Similarly to how the enemy team had to like be focused on Fiddlesticks here when he was in stasis. So yeah, as soon as Azir finishes that stasis, immediately uses the W. It's really unfortunate actually that the W leaves Azir with what, 2 HP? Literally 2 HP. It could have one hit him. No, that's too much to ask for. He ends up with 2 HP. Because of that, he can use his W. He actually can't do anything else, so it wasn't really that bad. All it does is require one more auto attack of Hansama than necessary, which is like, I mean, slightly disadvantaged, but I mean, just looking at this is so obviously favored towards Hansama's side, knowing how fed Hansama is, that it doesn't really matter. In this position, this extra auto attack you have to invest in this year, not a factor. So he just turns on to Ezreal. He gets the single target Q onto Ezreal because Braum was still in stasis. So he's just gonna burst the living hell out of Ezreal here. It probably took like 2 auto. Yeah, okay, Akali ends up finishing him off anyway, but from Hansama's side, even if it had just been Hansama damaging him, probably just 2 auto attacks on the Q would have been enough to kill Ezreal because he's just that fed. And Kesa is pretty bursty anyway, and his build is focused towards burst as well. Then Braum comes out of the stasis. I mean, he's useless. He's Braum. He's a support. Doesn't have flash or anything. Wait, no, wait, actually, he might have. But, I mean, either way, he was in such a bad position because of Hansama moving over here instead of, like, safely positioning here, that there's no way he can escape, even if Lee Sin on his own wouldn't have been able to finish him off. So now that confusing cluster has been analyzed, we can finally speed things up again and move on. Alright, so in the end, Fiddlesticks died, but the enemy team gets 4 deaths. Overall, that's actually surprisingly really well favored towards Hansama's team, considering that it started with Fiddlesticks being over-aggressive in his warding attempts. But yeah, really favored towards Hansama's team. He's still healthy, partially because he flashed Azir's soldiers here. So now he's in a really good position to push. Fiora's like trying to defend 1v4 at the moment. Elise will revive soon, but 2v4 isn't much better. And see, Azir, sorry, not Azir. Fiora's in a really weird position here. She knows she can't defend, so she doesn't bother trying. But she's still standing here. Why? Why though? Why? Because Hansama just realizes, well, once Elise shows up, they have a better chance of being able to like defend. Like overall, not too much because they still have split pressure here. So they can't like defend against all their efforts, all Hansama's team's efforts, but they can like definitely delay or deter whatever Hansama and Akali try and do here. But Fiora's not waiting for Elise. She's also not trying to defend. She's just like weirdly standing there. Let me go back there for a sec. Yeah, so here we are again. Fiora has nothing to do here. She knows she has nothing to do here, so she's not trying to do anything, but she's like standing here. Why? Because now Hansama realizes, okay, well, if I just kill Fiora now, then Elise is also going to be stuck in the same position where Fiora was, where she's 1v4 and she can't actually do anything, so it may as well be like 0v4. Whereas if Elise joins in here, they have more options. I mean, it's still going to be really bad for them, and I mean, obviously this game is lost already. It doesn't matter. But I mean, if we're talking about doing what they can to like maximize their chances of a comeback, as impossible looking as that is, that's what their team would want to do. And Fiora's actions kind of align with that. She doesn't try and go for like the 1v2 desperation play. She's just standing there. So Fiora tries to punish that. Hansama tries to punish that. Fiora sees Hansama going on him while Akali isn't really moving in to help. So I guess she thinks with the tower's help she can maybe beat Hansama, but I mean, you see this damage from Hansama. It's not a fight you're ever going to win as the Fiora. And Akali obviously has more than enough time to join in as well, so I mean, she does do a good job of getting Hansama low enough, but I mean, Hansama had like before auto-attacking Fiora, he made sure he was out of tower range. This tower was not helping Fiora, which he was probably hoping for, but it was not a factor in the fight at all. The only way that it was helping Fiora is that it delayed the time that it took for Hansama to start focusing Fiora. But it was obviously not enough. I'm pretty sure Hansama would have won 1v1 anyway. And anyway, it wasn't 1v1, it was 1v2 because Akali joined in. Now, actually, though, even though I'm pretty sure this was still a Fiora, still a mistake of Fiora to go for this, she does end up getting Hansama quite low, and he's stuck between, like if he were here, that would be okay, but he's stuck between the tower and Elise. Well, not exactly between them, but kind of. It's a problem. He can't fight back against Elise here without factoring in the tower, or the fact that he has nowhere to run. So Elise definitely fancies their chances. I don't know. I can't even tell if I'm speaking anymore. She fancies her chances here, and it looks pretty bad for Hansama. She does have a chance of killing him here, but again, you gotta remember, Hansama super fed, 4-level lead over Elise. He does have the Amar to help deal with her. She only has 2 items. Hansama has nearly 6. So, well, she's already used her E. Well, I mean, okay. So she's already using her E here. That means she's not going to be able to use her E in order to buy time for her cooldowns, which it might end up being a factor. It might not. Maybe she would end up needing to do it. Maybe she wouldn't. Maybe it would help her. Maybe it wouldn't. I don't know, but it's worth noting. So once she lands on Hansama here, she's going to be able to use Q, and then obviously she just has to switch back to range form and hope that her W under Q, combined with that spider Q, are going to be enough to burst Hansama down. Whereas Hansama, he might have his E up. Okay, it doesn't quite yet, but it'll be up soon. If he manages to use that, it might also, depending on the tower range, I'm not sure about the invisibility reveal range of that thing, but he has a chance of being like slightly invisible. Also, getting some distance away from Elise, which might mean that Akali is able to tank the W. Also, he does have some lifesteal either from runes. I can't remember if he took lifesteal or not, but he definitely has some healing from this. So, you know, he has the tankiness from the Wit's End and the healing from this. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna try and turn here. He might have a good enough chance of bursting her down before she can burst him down, just because he's so ridiculously fed. I mean, there's not I'm overanalyzing this. There's not much to say here. He's either gonna be fed enough to win this or he's not. Okay, it actually took Elise so long to land. After Hansama lands his first auto attack onto her, he's gonna be able to use a Z. He's probably going to be out of range, that he's going to get the stealth. That complicates things for Elise because she's probably going to be able to land the Q, but it'll delay her ability to like land any auto attacks or land her ranged Q, and that just buys more time for Hansama to land more free damage onto her and hopefully both burst her down as well as heal himself. Sorry, I wasted way too much time analyzing this. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, okay, so he didn't even end up using a Z. He just burst her down. Let's see, how much help was Akali there? I don't know, I shouldn't have replayed. It's useless. I mean, there's not much to take here anyway. Just the fact that Hansama is so ridiculously fed that this works out for him. But now that I've done it, I'm just gonna go ahead with it. Okay, so Kali gets, I think it was an auto attack on her Q. And she just melts. Yeah, it was not Akali's auto attack, her Q, and her E. And with Hansama's auto attacks and his Q, they just have so much burst between them. Mainly because of Hansama being so fed that they just burst her ridiculously fast in a situation where it looks like it should be a free kill for Elise. But I mean, Hansama's play throughout this game has just been so good. It's led to him having such a massive level advantage and item advantage that he just ended up winning that, even though he shouldn't have. So yeah, at this point, I mean, the obviously safe thing to do is just recall. Maybe his team can help here. Like, probably they would just want to like end here, but I mean, they've obviously won this game anyway. And it's solo queue. Who cares about the optimal play? Oh, do they not actually end up going for the end? No, okay, so they actually do go for the safe thing. Yeah, they have 3 people alive. All full HP. Hansama's low. I mean, the rest of his team is healthy, but I guess Hansama's low enough that he doesn't. He's been playing pretty aggressive and testing his limits this game, but he knows that this situation is like not even worth experimenting with. It's just not gonna end well for him probably. So he just backs, finishes his build. Wow. Okay. No, never mind. He didn't even actually go AP. He went for Triforce. Again, this is probably an item you never want to build on Kesa. Like, not just as a 6th item, but like ever. But I mean, he's fed, so why not troll and why not experiment? I mean, it seems really troll, but I mean, a lot of things that end up being really good aren't actually that obvious. So I don't know if he's just straight up trolling here or if he's taking this opportunity again to like experiment. See if maybe it's actually worth buying in proper games, but yeah. Probably did not buy this as a serious item either way. Honestly, I don't want to analyze this anymore. I just want this game to end. Either way, not much to say there. He's just taking fights because he's so strong. It doesn't matter. He's just going to win anything. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, the safe thing to do would be for them to push top lane. They don't care. They're just going to try and run it down bot lane, middle lane, just try and end. Just brute force the way to the win, which is fair enough. They're just like me. They're just desperate for this game to end. God, how long is this replay going to be? I don't know. So yeah, I mean, obviously they're so fed. The tactical approach, not really necessary. They do have some deaths. Whether that was because of their approach or because they went for kills, I don't know. But I mean, either way, doesn't really matter. They may suffer some deaths, but they still have enough room that they can just go for some fun kills. I still have plenty of room to go for the finish here. So, oh my god, this game is finally over. Thank god. Oh, I lost the ability to speak. I'm so sorry. This went on way too long. I'll try and be more concise in future ones. But yes, I hope you found this useful. Obviously, towards the very end, I mean, you saw Hansama just taking like really stupid fights over here for no other reason other than I want to see if I can fight here, and obviously that's not useful to analyze, and I did it anyway, which was stupid of me. I'll try and avoid that in future. But yeah, I mean, they got to the point where there's just not much left to analyze, and it was just Hansama being ridiculously fed and just running people down. But everything that led to that point of him just being so ridiculously fed that he could just go for those plays and they would work, that was definitely all on Hansama, and also Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks was pre-made, and obviously he's really good as well. He's actually, I think he's ranked 2 on the ladder right now, while Hansama is rank 8. So they're both really good players. You gotta give credit where credit's due. Fiddlesticks did have his due part, but Hansama himself, obviously, insane player. And hopefully you saw a bit of what makes him insane. You're not just gonna be able to watch this replay and get to like rank 8 on the ladder like Hansama, obviously. Because, I mean, what makes Hansama and just other challenger players this good? It's not something that I can tell you, hey, do this, and now you're gonna be as good. No. Sadly, what it comes down to is skill. Hansama has really good decision making. He has really like good experience knowing out like what plays to go for and what not to. Part of it I think was just like limit testing, seeing what he could get away with. Some of it he couldn't, some of it he could. But overall, I mean, he just has a much better awareness of what plays he can go for than you or me. And it's kind of useful to be able to see what he actually does get away with. But overall, don't take away from this that I'm saying, hey, you're going to be challenger after watching this. No. I think what I mostly want to emphasize is the fact that Hansama is this good because he's good. Because he's got experience. Because he... how do I word this? Okay, so what makes sense... this is dragging on way too long. I'm so sorry. Okay. What I'm trying to say is it's not like macro decisions he makes. Like, I mean, it is. I try to point out these macro decisions whenever I can. And hopefully it's really helpful for you. Hopefully you've learned something. But a lot of it does just come down to Hansama making better decisions than you. And there's only so much you can do to try and learn from those decisions. Really, it's just going to come down to you playing your own games, trying to focus on all your options and try and determine the best one available. Also, you do need to experiment a bit, see what plays work, what don't. That way you develop a better understanding of what you can get away with. And that is basically the biggest factor in what makes a good player. So don't try and take away from this. Okay, I'm just going to do everything Hansama did in this game, and I'm going to hit challenger. Then you play your game, and it turns out that it goes horribly wrong. And you feed, and you're like, why does it work out for Hansama and it doesn't for me? Does he just have better teammates? No, it comes down to decision making and experience. I mean, you're basically working on those like every single game, right? But try and actively focus on them, and hopefully you will eventually, not immediately, this is definitely a process, but over time, you should hopefully get to the point where you can just not necessarily do everything Hansama did in this game, but make like similarly good decisions. Even if they're different decisions, they're going to be different ones. They're going to give you like similar advantages. And yeah, because you can't really point to any one thing Hansama did right this game. It's just a bunch of good decisions he made. And I just really want to emphasize that's what makes a good player, because you get asked all the time as a streamer or content creator, how do I improve? Well, you just improve. That's it. You just improve. You improve, and once you've improved, you start playing better, and once you're playing like really, really, really good, you might eventually get to the level of playing to the level of Hansama. But there's nothing you can like actually like deliberately like write off on a checklist to say, okay, now I'm one step closer to doing this. No, just try and work on it as best you can. That's all you can do. All right, that's how you improve as a player. And hopefully this helped with that, and it also helped you with the general macro concepts and like overall game knowledge, which is definitely the biggest takeaway you can take from VOD reviews like this, hopefully. Sorry, this dragged on even longer. Alright, I'm just gonna end it here. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you learned a lot. Bye.